You're going to have setbacks in life. You're going to have them daily. Some of you are probably dealing with them today and you don't know how you're going to face tomorrow. All I want you to know is that God has a plan for you. And these setbacks that you have are setups for the most magnificent comeback.
Welcome to another edition of the Journey to Freedom podcast. And I am Dr. B, your host. We are doing some incredible episodes, and I hope that you hit the subscribe button. I hope that you hit the bell or whatever my producer guy pops up on the screen, because I don't know how to do it. I have a master's in educational technology and don't know how to use the technology anymore. But just to let you know, back in 1992, when I got my master's in educational technology, I was teaching teachers how to use overhead projectors, VCRs, Laserdisc,
Betamax, all of that.
HyperCard. So there was no internet. I did my first class teaching at the graduate level in the internet in I think it probably was 1995 or 6. Okay. We used a program called Mosaic as the browser. And it took us a semester of eight students to make a 4-page website, because we were coding everything and having to get code from Sweden. So my web design isn't even close to what it could be.
I was about to say, those computers you were working on were size buildings.
It was the Apple. We were past the Apple IIe, so we were in the Macintoshes by then.
Okay.
And so,
okay.
We used program. Yeah, so it's been a fun time. But I'm going to have my technical people do the things that they need to do. But this show, we are interviewing 100 Black men in 2024. So if you're watching this in 2025 or 2026, whatever it is, you are getting the best of the best. And what I was just telling Darwin today, I was just saying how much I've enjoyed being able to go through these interviews, to be able to ask these questions, to be able to find people from all over the country that are doing incredible things in their communities and making a difference. You know, we talk a lot about, and even some of the veterans that I've done and the heroes that they are, and they are. Absolutely. But I start thinking about our communities and what we've been able to achieve and come through with obstacles in our path. And I can promise you, I have yet to interview one of our Black men who has said, I didn't have any obstacles. It was all easy. There was nothing I had to deal with. There was nothing that I had. That hasn't been the theme. And I've had guests who have grown up without fathers in their household. I've had guests that have grown up with fathers in their household. I have a couple of weeks ago, Darwin, I interviewed a gentleman, and his dad. He said, I have a rich dad and a poor dad. I'm thinking, okay, Robert Kiyosaki, here we go. Yeah. We're going to talk about money. He said, no, my poor dad, he wasn't kind of in my life, and he just sat and watched TV all day, every day, and was on drugs. And my rich dad, he was a dealer. And so we lived like the Power Show, where we get elevators up to the top floor until he went to jail. So, he said that's how he grew up, with a stepdad that was not just your corner on the street drug dealer, like the drug dealer that had all the money and had everything going and that gave him the life. And so as we talk through this, I'm so excited to talk to Darwin today, because when we start thinking about entrepreneurship and we start thinking about people who have said, and please don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job and working your way up.
Absolutely not.
But there's something about being able to hire others, about being able to take people and have the responsibility of their families on your mind when you go to bed at night. Which is about, you put somebody on your payroll, and then you have this extra responsibility of, wait a minute, this guy is counting on me to get my stuff done. So when I get up in the morning, it's a little bit different than just putting my shoes on and going and driving down. I was a teacher, I was a professor. That was a way different job than when I became a mortgage professional or when I owned my own mortgage company. And now I have responsibilities that you don't ever think about. I promise you, it's not taught in the school I went to. It might have been taught in the school you went to growing up, but it wasn't in the school that I was in. And so, Darwin is not just successful. He is very successful. And I'll let him kind of tell his story about the things that he's been able to do. but more importantly, the character of the man. And that's why we do
Thank you.
these podcasts. We
Thank
do
you.
these podcasts because we're not talking about, what we are, or what we do is not who we are. I should say it that way. What we do is not who we are. Who we are is what shows up when we're out at a basketball court in the park and kids are coming up to us and we're having conversations with them about their
Absolutely.
lives and where they're going to go. When we figured out how we're going to serve others, that prayer that I say every day, which is, I've been saying this on this podcast, and it's really Solomon's prayer. So it's not like,
Okay.
I made this up, right? He said, "Dear Lord, give me the wisdom to do the things you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others." And
Right on.
that prayer was good enough for Solomon. It's 1,000% good enough for me, because he did some wonderful stuff. If you know about your Bible and your history, and so.
Absolutely.
When I pray that is, I get up and I say, okay, who do I get to serve today? And how do I get to serve them? And then what skill set did God give me that I'm either using or not using? Because if he gave me the skills and said, this is what I want you to do, and gave me that purpose, and part of our journey to freedom is to find that purpose, right? Finding the
Yes.
purpose to do the thing you were put on this earth to do, right? It is why we're here, and then being good at it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Darwin, thank you for being on. I'm glad
Thank
you're
you.
on. I'm going to stop talking now because this show is about you today. And if you can just give us a story, like I tell all my other guests, you can start wherever you want. And then
Absolutely.
we'll
Well,
just go from there.
first, I want to thank you and thank God for this opportunity for us to connect. It's interesting how those different degrees of separation work, especially in groups of Black men and Black executives, and how we network not only here in the U.S. but across the world. And so I'm extremely honored to be here and to be on your show today. I only find it fitting, when you talk about the journey to freedom, right? As a people, freedom is a journey, right? It wasn't something that once it was signed, we automatically got it and we was good and everything was great. It has been a journey since day one, and it's going to continue to be a journey. But we've learned some things along that
Mhm.
journey. We've learned to adapt and overcome some things. We've learned to do things appropriately, and we've also learned some things that maybe aren't right and need to change within the system. And so when we work together, we can accomplish anything. So my background, I grew up in a small town in Texas, where it was everything pretty much shut down. Clock, cornfields, flashlight, freeze tag, the works. And the one thing that was interesting to me was I don't think I was till about 7 years old when I realized everyone around me didn't look like me. Right?
Mhm.
It was an interesting paradigm. I tell this story to my girls. I was 7 years old, playing outside with my friends. We're having a good time, and she's like, "Hey guys, come on in, time to eat." And she made us some lunch. I was like, "Great!" And she stops me at her door, sweet as can be, nice as apple pie, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey, I don't let the N words in my just like that," and had no really idea or understanding of really what that word was. Um, and as I got older, I kind of understood that people are going to always judge based on stereotypes and situations that they've been in, right? And so I made sure that as I got older, um, I got the knowledge. I
Mhm.
made sure that when a door was open, I took advantage. I began mentoring middle schoolers in high school, because I wanted them to understand that, one, yes, it's true. There's a guy that carries his Bible around with him in high school. I was that guy, right? If you need a little prayer, come see me in the morning. You need a little help, come see me in the morning. Before the games, after the games, I was the one who they would count on to pray. Some of those teammates today still text me and they say, "Hey, Tank, can you pray for me? Hey, man, I'm having a hard time. Can you pray for me?" And I take pride in that because I am comfortable living the life that God has designed me to live. I'm not out to please anyone. I'm out to follow his message. I've had so many mountains and peaks and valleys and dungeons in my career, and I love every single one of those experiences because they made me better to serve the next person. When we talk about that journey to freedom, you think of like Harriet Tubman. She was a servant's heart. She was providing a service without a fee to people so that we could sit here today. And in business, that is how I look at everything. I'm very focused on teaching the strategies from the Bible, but in a business setting, to
Okay.
get you to understand that every relationship does not have to be transactional, but every relationship needs to be personal. In business, if you can form a relationship with that customer, you've got them for life. It's not just about that one transaction. You can ask them for actual feedback that they possibly wouldn't leave in a Google review, that you could take back to your team and implement to become better for the next customer.
Yeah.
That's so important to me. My father was a big driving force as well. Same job, same career. He worked really, really hard. He was high school educated, got on with the electric company. And, he wouldn't ever tell me about the things that he would experience being, a young Black lineman in Texas. Because in our family, we never really used those as excuses or crutches. Because I know that I don't nearly go through the persecution that my father went through, and I don't go through what his father went through and his father before him. And so understanding that paradigm and understanding that from the day we took our first breath, our time here is limited. So it's like, what do you want to do with today? Right? You want to sit at home and sulk and complain about where things are? Or do you want to understand that you live in the best time ever in the history of this planet to be successful? You don't have to punch a clock and work 9 to 5. You can take those gifts that God gave you, and there are tools and there are organizations out here that will teach you how to survive. And so that's kind of been my life's mission, is to teach. I was blessed to be able to be promoted to a manager in a business while I was still in high school, because I carried myself above board. I made sure that I understood finance. I understood P&Ls. I understood customer satisfaction. I understood that slogan, the customer is always right, and really what that truly meant, right? And someone invested in me. They said, Darwin, if I give you this position, you will never have anything less than this going forward, because you have shown that someone is willing to put you in charge of their business. And that was amazing as a 16-year-old kid. And he wasn't kidding. Before I graduated high school, I was managing a Blockbuster. I was managing controller at a movie theater in town, and was having some of the best times in my life learning about business, learning about forecasting, learning all the things that you would essentially get taught in college or in an executive position or administration. Fast forward to 2005, 2006, I was presented with an opportunity to learn a trade. I had never really ever considered it. I'd always been kind of retail management. I was a general manager at the time for a furniture business. And it was intriguing because I was like, people buy air conditioners, had no clue. People buy water heaters. Okay, not something I ever really focused on. And when I got in, the first day, I think I did like $29,000, $30,000 in sales.
What?
And everyone around me was kind of shocked, but me, it was just another day that ends in another day, because I already have a process, right? I already had a plan, I already had goals in mind, I already done the research. And pretty soon I got promoted to manager in that organization. And then it just kind of took off from there. Learning sales in the trades and learning the business, learning about electrical and refrigeration, learning about plumbing, opened up so many doors for me. But now it's enabling me through my business AEG to kind of give back. I transitioned from selling my business in 21, did a dabble in private equity, doing some mergers and acquisitions, kind of learning that and getting that under my belt. And then prayed to God that I needed to do more. I felt like there was more that he was calling me to do. And I only wanted two things. I wanted to still be able to serve him, and I wanted to be able to serve the people. I wanted to be able to serve the people who looked like me, who don't know anyone at the chamber, who doesn't know anyone in the new town when they move to. But they know, I bet this guy's been to a conference of 12,000 people, and there's been 5 of them there. He knows that feeling. I bet he knows when he walks in a room and they think that he's part of the cleaning or the serving staff and not actually the keynote. Right? I know those feelings. I worked with a group earlier this year, and we hosted one of the best African conferences here in town to bring awareness to not only what's going on in, Nigeria, Liberia, but what opportunities are available here for as Americans to invest in Africa. There is so much opportunity there, but sometimes that message it doesn't reach the right people. And so after praying and a lot of thought, I created a Send Empowerment Group, which has enabled me now to go out and find some of the best people in their trade to represent us as consultants, to go to small businesses and large businesses, whether they're contact centers or heating and air conditioning centers or healthcare centers, and saying, hey, we have access to doctors, we have access to plumbers, we have access to engineers, we have access to companies who want to get this knowledge so that they could scale and provide a better product to their customer. You know, when you understand that every man and woman that gets up and goes to work every day is trying to take care of their family, it makes your role and your mission a lot easier. It really, really does. It really, really does. You know, we are not what defines us in those moments. You know, we could talk for hours about moments where someone did us wrong. I mean, I actually wrote a paper. I called it A Letter to America.
Really? Okay.
And it's interesting. It's on my social media. And the reason I posted this letter is my daughter and I were at a bus stop. And the gentleman whose house we were parked in front of felt that I was suspicious because a black man in a $40,000 pickup truck playing patty cake with his daughter, I guess, looked suspicious. Went around my truck, took some photos, then walked up to my door and let me know basically that he was armed. And in that moment, I thought about the teachings my father gave me. I thought about, yeah, I have my Glock right here in the console, but my 3-year-old baby's right here. And the only thing I could think of was to tell her to sit on the opposite side behind the passenger seat so that if he did shoot me from my side mirror, the bullets wouldn't hit her. And she would at least be alive. And that broke me because I said it shouldn't be this way.
No. Yes.
And so I had to write a letter mainly to my community because I'm very well respected in my community because my family has done some amazing things here. And I'm blessed to be able to continue that legacy. But I needed them to know out of all the things that you think I'm great at, all the things that you think I've accomplished, I'm still a nigga to them.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you may not view me as that. And we may have known each other for 2 or 3 or 4 decades. But understand, every day I leave my house, I have to be aware of what I'm wearing, where I'm going, who's with me, what I'm driving. It's not that society and all is bad. It's that you have to be prepared. I call it the toolkit, right? You got to have your tool bag.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want, you don't want to draw attention to yourself, but you also need to make sure that you stand up for yourself when there's injustice and make sure that you live to fight. And that's one thing that my father taught me. He can run his mouth. He can do all the things he wants to. And we're going to fight. You just get home to me. And in that instance with my daughter, that's all I thought about. And what's shocking to me was those individuals who would call me the N-word and make fun of me when I was in high school for carrying the Bible. That was powerful for them. And they apologized. You know, you're talking something that happened 25, 30 years ago in school. And now they're apologizing because they go, wow. We thought you had it easy. We said, what do you mean you thought I had it easy? There was no teachers that looked like me, only counselors, right?
Yeah.
You know, it was it, counselors. Those counselors made sure that I was okay. Those counselors were the ones who made sure that, hey, you're filling out your college applications, right? Do you understand what the SAT score is and why it's important? Have you thought about what you want to do after college? All these different things. But now we have a greater, let's call it greater goal, right? My goal is to influence young people to take a shot at the trades, get into trade school, learn to be a plumber, learn to be an electrician, get into HVAC. You would be amazed how many 6-figure 20-year-olds there are out there who are technicians working in air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing, having beautiful lives, who went to school for 6 months?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You get in with the right organization and you can thrive. And so what we are doing is we are teaching businesses not only how to be better employers, but how the employees can get more out of the business, more out of life, more out of growth. You know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, there are steps you need to take. You got to form a plan. You can't just jump into something. You know, think about the Journey to Freedom podcast. You didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what?
No.
On the podcast, I'm just get a microphone and a camera and go.
Yeah. You,
we wish it was that simple, but it's
I know you made me think of all the barbecue trucks that just show up because of all.
yeah,
I'm gonna cook some meat because I'm doing it in my backyard, and
that's
then
it.
I'm gonna show up at the corner and hope everybody buys my barbecue.
That's it. So it's slowing things down. What I tell people, experience,
Mhm.
your greatest benefit is everything slows down. At least that's been my experience in
Yeah,
life because of the things that I've endured and the things that I've learned and overcame in business. I know that there's going to always be something where customers upset
yeah,
or inventory didn't come in, whatever it may be. But the most important thing is the business doesn't stop.
yeah,
We don't stop.
yeah,
We keep moving.
yeah.
It's important. It's
Absolutely.
important to have a plan for when things go bad because they are. And that's the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they think it's going to be good all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean it's when you start thinking about what it takes mentally to be able to get up every single day knowing that today you might not have enough money to do some of the things that feed your family or to do and
Yes.
say, but it doesn't matter, I'm going to get up the next day and do the same thing, and then get up the next day and do the same thing, and you're not expecting somebody else to take care of you every single day,
Nope.
which is different for a lot of folks. It really
I
is.
enjoy pulling all nighters working for myself.
Hmm.
I
Absolutely.
enjoy putting in that work because I remember the nights where I put in doing reports, doing, financial statements, trying to understand how we can improve margins, how we can increase EBITDA. Next thing I know, it's 4 a.m. Well, now, it doesn't seem such a hard lift because it's for myself, it's for my family. I'm building generational wealth.
Yeah.
And as a people, we have to understand what that means, right? That there are so many opportunities out here for you to carve out your piece. I'm not telling you to quit your job today and become an entrepreneur. That's the biggest misconception out there about entrepreneurship. There
No.
are millions of entrepreneurs and small business owners who are still collecting money outside of their business today. We live in a time now where you have to have more than one income stream.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You have to.
When you think about relationships, because it's very evident, you don't become the person who's the boss without being able to go through being able to do relationships. At 16 years old, you don't run and manage stores if you can have relationships
Nope.
with people. When I think about it, I don't know how familiar you are with Myron Golden, but he's
Yeah.
yeah, so Myron talks about those different levels of business, where the first level is just using your own body and everything else to be able to do. The second level, when you get to that management, you start creating relationships. How important have relationships been in your journey to where you're at now?
They define me almost as much as my faith. Uh, it's that powerful. And the reason being is because I have never been one to want to take all the accolades or take all the glory. I understood at a young age that, a captain needs mates, right? We
Mhm.
need help. My fist is a lot stronger together like this than it is with me doing this, right? But I also understood that as the leader, I'm holding things together and I have to be strong, even in the midst where I may not know what's going on. I'll never tell the staff that, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who start out in business and they say, okay, I got my LLC. All right. And I got a product. That's great. But I can't buy the product to sell it. Why did you do that? It's one of the things I see so much. And
Yes.
so what I always try to do is get back to the foundational element of anything we try to achieve in life.
Hmm.
That foundational element always comes back to planning
Hmm.
every single time. So when I meet someone, the first thing I want to do is I want to learn about them.
Yeah.
I want to learn about what gets you up and what excites you. But not only that, I want to learn what me or my network could possibly do for you. If you ever talk to anybody that knows me, and James will probably tell you this because the first few times that we interact, I'm not going to say that I'm testing you, but I'm trying to see if you're on the level. I'm trying to see if you're going to suffocate at the altitude I walk in.
Hmm.
Because if you are, that's okay. I know how to help you. And when I met James, I knew right off the bat, like, okay, this is a young man, this is a brother that's done some things, that's traveled the world. and
Mhm.
it's a great person to have in the network. And he and I have sat in some of the most amazing social settings with men from 25 to 80, right? And those meetings are beautiful. That relationship and that 20-second, let me go introduce myself to James at my event. If I didn't do that, I'd never meet you and be here today. And that's why I try to make it a point to go and meet everybody in the room, especially everyone of color, women, minorities, Latino, Asian. I want to go and I want to thank them for coming. I want to exchange information and say, hey, you need help with anything, let me know. If it's something that I'm not an expert in, I guarantee you my circle does. I guarantee you.
That is so huge. I mean, you think of how many times you walk into a room and you don't speak, like you're waiting for somebody to come to you
Yeah,
to introduce himself to you, but to say, my habit and my belief when I go to this room is I don't know who I'm going to serve, but I'm gonna attempt to serve you just by getting to know you, and
absolutely.
to have that mindset to be able to do that consistently. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
We have to learn.
good.
We have to be creatures of habit. We have to learn. Learning isn't a college degree.
No, no.
Learning is relationships and people and learning different religions and background. For the last year, I've been learning French. You
Really?
know, 2 years before that, I was learning Zulu, right?
What?
Um, you know, it takes nothing to take 15, 30 minutes to improve yourself,
Mhm.
right? But it was a cognitive decision that said, I want to learn another language that I could use to reach more people. And as I tour Europe, I wanted to be able to speak the language. I wanted to be able to take my wife, to France and be able to enjoy the cuisine and the arts and be able to communicate without the help of anyone. Um, Languages may not be your thing. Maybe your hobby is sports. Maybe your hobby is music. Maybe your hobby is poetry. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to those relationships, no matter where I'm going or what I'm doing, I know that I can pick up this phone and I can text someone and I could probably solve a problem for you right now if you got one that you need solved. And that is only by the grace of God for those relationships. Because when I say my circle is small, the circle circumference itself is very wide, but the
Mhm.
arms that hold it together are even wider. I don't need 30, 40 people. I can count on one hand who I call if I need something here.
Mhm.
Two of them actually live in another country. But when I tell you we could get something moving within about 10 minutes, we could. And that's another thing that I tell people too. If you're not ready for what I'm about to bring you, say so. Because a lot of people, when you meet them, they like to do this, right?
Mhm.
I'm not really a big on the talk. I want to do things. What are we going to do? Let's get a project plan together and find out who's taking what task.
Yeah.
I could speak probably for 45 minutes on the different things I have going on that are outside consultancy right now, that are in the business development and software worlds that I'm not really familiar with, but I made myself get familiar because I realize
Mhm.
education is power. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
If you're not investing in artificial intelligence and understanding that, marketing, SEO, metadata, you are going to get left behind. And we have programs in place. The government has grants in place for you to start your business today, right now.
Today, right now. Yeah, I
You
just
can
had a
do it.
friend who just a guy who went through a development program with the NARAB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and they had the Secretary of HUD, at the graduation saying, I'm ready to give you money right now to start a development.
That's
He
it.
went one meeting with her, and he gave her $13 million to start a. There is money and
Here, out here.
grants and things available. It's just we don't do enough talking to each other. But like you said, you have to be ready. Like
Yeah,
part of Journey to Freedom in my business is helping people become the person they need to be in order to take advantage of the opportunities that come by. Because you think of like the Tony Robbins of the world and the Dean Graziano, whatever these folks are that
yep,
they get people to come. And I'm not saying they have bad programs; they have incredible programs.
absolutely.
If you're not ready for it, you
Mm-mm.
just spend a whole bunch of money and you walk away excited to
Yep.
go do nothing.
To
So
go do nothing, to show up Monday morning to do this. Like, okay,
hey, what do I do? What do I
how
do?
do I implement that sales strategy? How do I implement that marketing strategy? How do
Yeah.
I fix my call center? All of those things don't work without the knowledge.
Without the
Don't work
knowledge.
without the experience.
Well, and you think of like where somebody needs to start, and this is just me playing off of what I was talking about, Myron talking about the 4 levels. He's going to be on my show in a couple of weeks, which is kind of really
Awesome.
cool. But it's, when he talks about the next level is communication. So next communication is where you can really begin. So you have to be good at communicating. But then you go, okay, so I'm the manager and I walk into a room, or I'm just the person that walk and I don't talk to anybody. How do I get good at communication if I don't
Absolutely.
talk to you? So the first step is what you said: walk into a room and introduce yourself to everybody in that room, and then you can become a better communicator.
Yep.
Now, when you're ready to have to start communicating and getting more knowledge, you can at least know the questions to ask. Because
Absolutely.
I think that might be even one of the hardest things to do is when you don't know what you don't know, and you don't
Oh
even know the
man.
questions because you haven't talked to enough people.
I think that phrase should be on the wall in every CEO's office across America. Is you don't know what you don't know,
You don't know what you
because
don't
it is so true. There are so many instances where you think you've got something licked, and then
know.
it changes and you realize you don't. And having those relationships, whether it's a banker, pastor, a friend, a fellow business associate, in my book, I talk about mentorship and leadership are one and the same. A coach has to have a coach.
Yeah.
Somebody even if it's somebody to debrief with and say, brother, I'm going through it. Can we
Yeah.
pray? Brother, I'm not getting traction. Can you look at my site? Can you look at my material? Can you tell me what you think I might be able to improve on?
Yeah.
If your friends aren't willing to offer you that kind of feedback and advice, you got the wrong friends.
Wow.
Not everybody is meant to breathe at this atmosphere, and it is okay. It doesn't mean that they won't get there eventually, but if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of everybody back here. You got to go. You got to go, and you got to get the knowledge. Again, I'm not telling everybody in America to go apply to get a college degree. That's not what I'm saying.
That's not might be where knowledge come from.
That's it. If you're really good at dancing, young men, young ladies, choreography, ballet.
Yeah.
There are short film screenwriters out there who are trying to take their screenplays to the big film, and they have dancing sequences, and they're posting on these sites all the time, looking for young, innovative choreographers. I just sent some information to a friend of mine's daughter who does that recently. They had no idea it existed, and there's so many opportunities for young people out there, and young, medium, old. It doesn't matter. If you want to create it, now is the time to do it.
Yeah. What you wrote a book, and I was going to ask you because I saw and read that you did. Tell us about your book. Tell us about why you wrote it. I got up last night and I wrote a book called "There Is No Tiger," which is all about overcoming anxiety and overthinking. And but that wasn't the book. I mean, it is the book, and I love the book, and I think it's a good book. And then last night I woke up working on a book called "The Decision Formula" on how to make good
Oh
decisions.
wow! Okay.
And I'm excited about writing, but there's something about writing a book, and I want to know all about the book you're writing because I want a copy of it. I want to,
You got it.
be able to pick it apart. But why? What drove you to write the book, and then how is it going to help people?
One of the mainstays of my, I guess, growth has been reading. I love to read because there are books hundreds of thousands of years old that have knowledge passed down in them. And there are so many things that we have adapted and overcome and evolved as a people. I felt like I needed to stamp that information in a 2024 century, like this is it in your face. So Unstoppable, Mastering Resilience and Growth, available at Amazon right now, was basically my story of how I'm sitting here in this chair today, managing, my consulting business. It is about overcoming trials and tribulations, but it's also about putting in the work and understanding success. It doesn't have a stopwatch, and it doesn't have a finish line.
Okay.
Your parents might have been school teachers and worked for the school district for 45 years, and that was great. Or your grandfather might have worked for GE for 45 years and retired, and they had a great life, and that was great. But that doesn't mean that that's the path you have to take. That doesn't mean that because your grandmother or your grandfather or your mom and dad don't understand your journey that you shouldn't take it, because it's your journey. And as a people, we are so keen to go support everyone else. But when our own kids show dreams and aspiration and entrepreneurship, we tell them to go get a job. You have to stop that. It starts at home. You know, my girls know all about entrepreneurship. My 13-year-old daughter has a bracelet business. I'm wearing her bracelets right now. My oldest daughter in college here has a clothing line that she'll be setting, but she's an international business major. So she wanted to make sure, like I said before, she had the proper knowledge for what she wanted to do before we launch her clothing line. These conversations would not have happened if I empowered them from a young age to think freely. I don't want them to go and be denigrated and talked down to for a paycheck, when they can go and teach someone, whether it be swimming, like my 18-year-old daughter, fashion, like my other daughter, my oldest daughter cleans houses. They're all doing things and carving out their own piece of the American dream, because at home, it was worth the risk. You can be comfortable, right? And work and work and work and never retire, or you can sacrifice and work and retire like no one's ever done at a very young age. And so my goal is to build generational wealth. What I'm creating today is for my grandson's children. What I'm creating today is for my great-grandson's children. If we don't have that mindset, you know, James will tell you this. I told them at the end of last year, stop talking to me about millions. We have to elevate. We need to be thinking billion-dollar deals. Wow. A million is easy. I can go sell $1 million worth of air conditioning. I hope, thank God, I can sell $1 million worth of books. But we need to elevate our way of thinking, right? We need to build billion-dollar brands, billion-dollar ideas. One thing I love about Myron is his approach, right? And utilizing the Bible and understanding that religion is important to a lot of people. And it's not that I'm trying to force my Lord and Savior down your throat, but I'm trying to show you that the way I live and conduct my life is because I'm not alone. You don't want to mess with me because vengeance is mine, said the Lord. I don't fight those battles. He fights them for me. I pray every day that God keeps me with an open mind and an open heart so that I can hear his message and I can understand. Second thing you need to know at Terra CEOs is you need to learn how to say no.
Woo, hello.
Right? It's kind of like, when you watch your granddad and your uncles playing dominoes growing up. All money ain't good money. Right?
Yes.
You need to learn how to say no, because not everybody is on the same path as you. It doesn't mean that you can't help them or minister them or mentor them in some capacity, but not everybody needs to know your business. You know, until you are ready to do something, don't speak it out. You can speak it in existence to yourself. You can write it down on your goals, but they're just ideas until you do this or you do this. Mm-hmm. Then it becomes something that you can actually do. You know, I have 5 different project plans in 3 different groups right now in my shared inbox. And I love to see the growth that these young consultants are gaining from not only going through my leadership program on my website, but also understanding the power that they have from within. And so that's why I wrote the book, because I teach you how to change the way you think. I teach you how to go from the fixed mindset that our ancestors had when it came to entrepreneurship to a growth mindset, to say, I don't care if you don't rap and I don't care if you don't run a football, you can still be successful, right? You don't have to sing. You don't have to win a Grammy. You can do so many other things with the natural talents that you have. You've got to form a plan. Once you form a plan, then you know exactly how to attack it. You can be the best cook you want, but if you've never baked muffins, you're probably going to do a terrible job trying to do it from scratch. That's why everything has ingredients, right? We have instructions. So this book, I talk about how mentorship and leadership is important.
Love it.
I talk about grace, how you have to give yourself grace and gratitude. I also talk about checking your ego. Mm-hmm. How are you to think that you are so special that you are immune from trials and tribulations when they hung my Savior and beat him and hung him on the cross? Mm-hmm. Who am I to think that life is supposed to be hunky-dory for me? Yeah. So in those moments where I come against adversity or I come against something hard, I kind of get excited because I know it's like, oh, Lord, somebody wanted me to be tested. Send them. Send them, because I'm going to stay on your path. I'm going to keep putting good out in the world. I'm going to keep taking care of people who want the knowledge. If they don't want the knowledge, I'm not for them, and that's okay. I created this business to share the knowledge. I wrote that book so that there was a recorded record of what I've learned, so that people can get themselves in the right mind frame to become entrepreneurs, to become better leaders, to become better individuals. I don't care if you're a school teacher, this book is for you. If you're a janitor, this book is for you. Elon Musk, this book is for you. This book is for anybody out there who wants to improve themselves. I didn't box anyone in. They're just basic, everyday fundamentals to teach you how to deal with stress. You know, if you have a terrible call with a client and you've got a presentation right after that, what are you going to do? Well, do you know any coping mechanisms? Do you know how to compartmentalize things and understand that one, me, Darwin Tanksley, does not care or worry about things he can't control. That is the least. That's how I compartmentalize it. We got a problem? Let me isolate the situation. Okay, what can I personally do? Did I create this? No. Check. Okay. Do I know anyone or anything that can solve this problem? Yes. Well, let's dig deeper. How did it happen? I'm not going to chew you out. You know, as leaders in businesses, we have to understand that these people can go work and get a check anywhere. But if you want to achieve your goals, you got to remember your fist, right?
Right.
You got to, you know, there's a reason this is our symbol.
Mm-hmm.
But people forget that this means together.
Yes, it does.
This is separate. This is together. But as a people, we'll say, oh, well, you know, his song wasn't that good, or his movie wasn't that good, or his business isn't that popular, or, you know, his wife isn't that pretty. No, 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 no. This is together, solidarity. If we come together as a people, there is nothing on this planet that will stop us.
Ooh. Ooh.
Nothing. If we all get together like you are doing right now, when you asked me to do this, I was like, Lord, thank you. Because if they hear anything I say, use the people around you. Use your network to do amazing things. You guys get together. Set a calendar date. Hey, every Tuesday, 6 to 8 o'clock, we getting together and we strategizing. We're not talking football. We're not talking family. We're talking business. We're talking finance. We're talking current world events. We're talking real estate, right? We're talking software, telecommunications, e-commerce, those 6 pillars. We're talking about moving forward. And after a month or two, bring somebody with you. Bring your son.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your dad. Bring your daughter.
Yeah.
You know, bring your mom. That's what we need. We need people in communities to say, you're right. We don't need millions of dollars in large buildings to affect change. We need a calendar invite.
I love that.
It's 2024, brother. It has never been easier to reach out and touch someone. Nothing drives me more crazy when people lie to my face and say they're too busy.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
You know, here's what they're telling you. And I learned this. I was blessed. Oh, probably 10 years ago, I went through Reinvent Ministries is the name of it. I went through what I call Hell Week, because it was a really deep dive into who you are as a person.
Okay.
And one of the main things that sticks with me is about how you view relationships and other people in regards to their name. How important is something as simple as, you know, understanding if you don't care enough to learn my name, what is that saying about you and how you interact with relationships with people?
Yep.
Right? If I give you my contact card, or if we meet an event, before I pull off from that event, I'm texting you, telling you, thank you for this meeting. Thank you for getting face to face. You know, appreciate the time, because I understand that, you know, we lose money in our businesses, we can make it back. We lose things and materials, we can make it back. I can't recreate time.
No, that's you. It's one thing you can't get back. You can't. It's gone. It's gone forever.
There's so many people who the hourglass is ticking, and it's running, and it's running. I think analogy I heard is, you know, you take a ruler and you take off the 3/4 that you've already lived, and wow, that really puts it in perspective.
To where you're at.
You know, fear is the one thing that has stopped a lot of people.
False evidence.
But fear is also a thing that has motivated some people as well. And your show is going to help so many people, because from when I was going through looking at your guests, the variety in which we provide content and expertise, this will be the new norm. Like I pray that God blesses you and makes this the most successful podcast ever. because what you are doing isn't about isolating other people and races. It's saying, no, you got your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You got your industry. We don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Africa, we have nothing.
Yeah.
They took it. They lease it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't own it. The governments there don't own it. And therefore, their people are struggling. But we have tools in place to make that change. And we are actively making magnificent strides today. Magnificent strides. And all you have to do is reach out to say you want to be involved. So if anybody out there wants to get involved and they want to help go build and start businesses in Africa, we have people on the ground there who will help them right now, today.
I love it.
Right now, today.
Let me just pivot for a moment, just because one of the things that I've heard is, well, one that I don't necessarily believe in is you have to have this super balance all the time, which to me is just silly. There are seasons in your life that you got to go for it, but you still can carve out time. And when I think about fatherhood and I think about being a dad and the success that you've had, but you still been a dad and you still, what I'm finding on the show is, as I'm talking, is it's just important as for us as Black men to be a dad and be a protector and a provider, and the person is there, is it is for the kids to have a dad. The kids need to have a dad, absolutely, but we need the kids for being a dad. And so what was your life like when you got your businesses and your air conditioner company, you're doing everything, and people say, well, it's easy because you were successful to take time away and just leave to go be a dad. Talk to me about the commitment that you had to be the dad that you needed to be.
It was a conversation I had coming home from work and as a retail GM at 1 a.m. on a Tuesday. And my wife said, I did not sign up to be a single mom. For me, that moment said everything, because it was my wife, my bride, the woman that I love and told God that I would be with and protect, saying that she felt like a single mom because all I did was work. And it was like, okay, I have to find a different way. And what I meant by that was I needed to learn to do something that fit me in order to give me that freedom, right? If you want to be with your kids, you probably don't want to be traveling 75% of the time in your career. But everything in life is a balance. There's sacrifice, right? One thing I teach my girls is about action. You have to have action in life. And when you act, you are going to have positive and negative results. But I guarantee you 100% of the time, if you do nothing, you get nothing. So why not take a shot? Why not? Do I know anything about writing a book? I'm a Black kid from Round Rock, Texas. No. But I know about life, I know about business, and I got about 4 pages on Google that'll tell you that I do as well. That is my pedigree. That is that unstoppable fortitude to say, sales are down. What do we have to do to get them back up? Is it us? Is it the product? Or is it the process? That's really all it comes down to in business: people, product, process. You focus on those 3 things in business and you will be successful. But I guarantee you, if you only focus on 2 out of the 3, you're going to wonder why you're missing budgets. You're going to wonder why your staff is leaving. And you're going to wonder why your competition is kicking your teeth in and stealing your staff, because they understand those 3 levels of businesses. As a business owner, I don't have time to compete with the billion-dollar corporations with my people. I can't have them stealing my people for 50 cents or $1. Yeah. When you're working with me, you're getting more from me than money. You're getting access to information that you can use to then go create whatever you want out in the world. That's not up to me to tell you. You may be my employee today, but 3 years from now, you may be a CEO or a CFO or a CIO, right? One of the things I'm proud of is like when my installers in my old company and my service techs, showed interest in financial vernacular and wanting to improve their credit and become homeowners. That's probably my greatest joy, is to take someone who's rented and teach them the structure within the business of how to be a responsible man, because maybe they didn't have a father figure, but they understood that, oh, wow, Darwin doesn't carry himself. Well, let me ask Darwin how he might do this. It's kind of funny. Whenever there were difficult situations with clients, they would send me a text and say, hey, can you call this person? They need to be Darwin. It was a coin that my staff framed. And really what it was is they needed a mental recalibration.
Yeah.
Mental recalibration. That's great that you're angry, but why are you cussing at my staff?
Yeah.
Right? Who do you think you are that, you can call and cuss at somebody's wife or daughter on the phone? If this was your wife, you would be furious. You would want to come up here and probably want to kill somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So understand that everything we do is to serve you as a customer and to give you 5-star quality service.
Yeah.
But if you can't give me 5-star customer service, I don't need you as a client. When your employees see you stand up for them, they will walk through fire.
Oh, yes, it will.
So many times I see it. They throw the employee under the bus when it was you as the leader who failed to properly train them in that role. And so when I put this book out, I made sure that I hit 7 to 10 kind of key areas that you could establish within a business to have kind of checks and balances, right? If you're experiencing this, well, you need to ask yourself these questions. You can find the answers in those questions in the book. If you need to understand how to get more out of your employee, it's not by giving them more work. It's by asking them what they want to do, what they want to learn, what they want to get out of this opportunity. Don't come to me saying you want to raise. Come to me saying, how can I earn more? How can I raise my earning potential? Right? As a consultant, I earn way more now than I ever did, working in the trades as an owner. But that's because I have the experience to say, you have $1 million problem. It stops today and it begins to improve. And tomorrow it's maybe an $800,000 problem. And the day after that, it's a $400,000 problem and a $300,000 problem. But if you want to keep calling people around, just know tomorrow you still have that $1 million problem. And Myron will tell you the same thing, that it's knowing your worth and your value. That was one of my first blogs that I did on my site, which is, if you don't know your worth and your value, how do you expect your employer to know? Your employer doesn't control you, and we are free, right? There's documentation in DC that proves it.
Yes.
You can go and do whatever you want. You can quit right now, right? But you have to decide what you want to be and what you want to put out in the world. So if you are in a terrible situation within your employer, don't let that change who you are as a person, because you never know who's watching. You never know when your paths will cross later. I take pride in not having any offenses or heartache towards anyone that I've come across in business, even those who have stolen from me and done me wrong. Why? Because that's not my role. My role is, I'm not judge. I'm Darwin. Darwin is a father of 4, a grandfather of 3, who loves his community, and he loves the people who look like him, because he understands it's hard. I know it's hard. You want to do some of the simplest things. I can't park in front of a house in a subdivision without a neighbor thinking I'm doing something suspicious, but most people would say, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit.
There's so much to give.
Did your grandfather quit in the 50s? Did he quit? Did his father quit in the 20s? If they did, you wouldn't exist. How dare you have that attitude? We are the survivors of the people who didn't stop fighting. That's who we are. And that's how I feel when I see any Black person I walk across or come in contact. I'm so happy to see them, because your lineage and your bloodlines are the ones who endured some of the most unspeakable and ungodly things that humans can do to another. So that pedigree is in you. You just have to listen. Those old hymnals that our ancestors used to sing, they were so in touch with their spirit, just like the people in the Bible back in Jerusalem. They were in touch. You've got to tap into your why, your force, your faith, your focus. You got to figure out what you're going to do when things get tough, because they are going to get tough.
Oh yeah, there's going to be, and it's so sad when you get to the people. Like yesterday, I went to an event, and there was a gentleman there that I had looked up to. He ran a state house, and he was the speaker of the house here in Colorado, a Black gentleman, 20 years ago. I mean, he did some stuff, and then he was talking about he's living in this place, and the lady said, "So you're renting?" And he said, he said, yeah, I don't want to own anymore because it's so hard. It's
Mm.
so hard to own. And then I'm so old now. If I own, then yeah, I'm not going to last for a 30-year mortgage. And I just want to go, oh my gosh, we got to breathe back into you life because
Yes.
you've
Yes.
been through so much. It's zapped you because there's
Don't
so
do
much
it.
to look forward to. You're in your early 60s. You're not. This hasn't. There's so much more. And then I think about mentorship, and you talked about Harriet Tubman earlier and her willingness to serve, but at the cost of her life. She like we go
The
serve
ultimate
somebody
pro.
and we're gonna die, right?
Yeah.
Every time she went back to the South, she probably didn't think she was coming back.
Yep.
And we don't have that. We have so many things that we can look at and go, oh my God, thank you, Jesus, for allowing me to be here on
Absolutely.
this planet and do the things that I get to do, and then be able to serve others in a way. And then you go, but if you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
how do I get that knowledge? Or how do I help you get the desire to have that knowledge? And part of
Absolutely.
it is, like you said, reading. The book's called Unstoppable Fortitude. Go pick it up. Go to Amazon right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buy the book.
Unstoppable Mastering Resilience and Growth. It's important that you understand that in life you are going to have hard times, but you need to be resilient. And resilience isn't just an act or a word, it's a way of life. It's a
Yeah.
lifestyle. And so many of us don't need a new environment. We need to change our lifestyle, right? We need to understand that, yeah, the fancy cars and everything is great, but depreciating assets are not great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So unless that's a car that's going to be worth more later,
Which is
or you're
not.
independently wealthy, you're worth tens of millions, then don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Take that money and invest it and get a dividend. Take that money and play some stocks. Or take that money and reinvest in yourself and go get another certification. You can go to Google right now, Google certifications. There's thousands that you can improve yourself within hours, right? If you're in the tech world out there, I implore you to go get your Six Sigma. Go get it.
Mhm.
If you work in contact centers or if you work in management centers and you want to be able to know how to compartmentalize manufacturing, I can tell your listeners right now, if they go get that Six Sigma and they can work and in 3 years become a black belt, they will never make less than $180,000 a year for the rest of their life. Ever. Ever. You go
And you
get
don't
your
have to
white
be a
belt.
rocket science, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist and
No,
think
you
that you're
don't.
great at math. You
You
don't.
don't. You don't. Can you type? Yes, we can get you a job. Can you read? Yes, we can get you a job. Can you talk to customers on the phone? Yes, we can get you a job. But what are you going to have to do? Listen, employ the things that you were being taught and put them into practice. Don't tell me you're going to go home and journal, right? And you're going to go home and work through these 3 things that we assign to you and you don't do it. A lot of individuals, when they come through my mentor program, they have to complete the 30 days before I move them to everyone else. And the reasoning with that is, remember I said in the beginning that not everybody is meant to breathe the same altitude, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as young men and young brothers come into this group, some of them come from different backgrounds where they need, I call it the V8 moment. Like the way that you've been thinking has worked so great, you got nothing, and it's led you here today. So stop thinking that way. Stop thinking that you're God's gift to women, because you're not. That is a terrible way to think,
You need to take
right?
care of some more.
Those looks and those looks and those waves and that 28-inch waist is not gonna last,
No.
right? And I promise you, all of these things that you're buying and acquiring don't fit in your casket.
Nope. None of them. Taking nothing in it
None
with
of them. How wonderful would it be that when that time comes, your family's set, your grandchildren are set, the grandchildren who haven't even been created yet are set because you made a decision. Think about that. You,
legacy.
not the government,
Yes.
not mom or dad. You.
Yes.
You made a decision to say, I'm going to take the tools that were laid out from the people before me who fought and marched and got beat and killed, murdered, raped, strangled, so that I could go start a business in any area I want today. I can walk into any building I want, apply for any job I want, marry anybody I want, any race, whatever, sex, orientation, doesn't matter. That is where we are today. But if you think that you have to be a product of your environment, you're never gonna grow. You know, I know successful people who have grown up in some of the worst areas, and they are magnificent people because they chose to be the change. Again, you
Mm-hmm.
you have to make the decision to say, I don't want this anymore. I would rather go through 3, 6, 12 months of heartache
Mm-hmm.
to live the next 50, 60 years in peace and harmony. When you talk about that work-life balance, once I got the knowledge, I was able to figure out what that looked like. I was able to understand. So like me personally, my wife and kids would tell you this. When I come home, there were some days I needed to decompress, and I decompressed through music, right? I put on music. I like to sing. I like to just reflect on the day because they deserve dad, not Darwin. My wife deserves her husband, not Darwin. And when Darwin's in work mode, he is not a dad or a husband, right? He is a boss who is there to complete a specific goal in a selected amount of time with a few people. And that's it. I don't make it any more complicated than that. You know, people send me a business plan. Darwin, can you review this? And the thing's like 9, 10 pages long. I'm like, man, you just want to cut grass. Like, you want to be a landscaper. Like, what is this? First of all, do you want to push more or ride more? Do you want to do cash or do you want to take checks? Did you figure out a name? Is the name available?
Yes.
Right?
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
and then they go, oh, okay, all right, I need to redo this. So
Getting ready to get ready, huh?
getting ready to get ready. So I built that book for people out there who maybe has a boss who is beating them down a little bit, and maybe they've been working on the side trying to get that side hustle off the ground. Well, maybe this book is that last piece to that foundation for them to be ready to build the next step. You know, the next book I have coming out is about sales. Sales is my bread and butter. It's my background, but I want to teach people the sales process. Doesn't matter if it's cars, doesn't matter if it's buildings, right? It's all about relationships.
100%.
You know, I read a book a long time ago called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og
Mandino. I love that book.
Yes. And it's so funny that any new salesperson that works with me or for me has to read it before they start.
I greet this day with joy.
It's their homework assignment, right?
Yes.
And the reason being is because I need them to understand that what I'm going to teach you is nothing new, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I just remixed it a little way for 2024 to put it in context, because we are not walking huge distances anymore to make contact and to get information. It is quick. You know, your business is slow. Okay. Well, are you networking? Kind of.
What does that mean?
That's a yes or no question. Like, were you pregnant? You can't be kind of pregnant, right? So, are you networking? Yes. Great. How is it going? Well, this one's working really well. This one's not so much. Okay. Let's look at the one that's not working. What are some 3 good things and 3 bad things about this group? Well, I've been able to do this, this, and this, and this, this, and this. Okay. Out of those 3, neither of them was make money, but one of them was lose time.
Whoa.
So
that you can't get back.
It's that, you see how fast we did that exercise?
Yep.
But I call it the VA moment, right?
Hello.
When you put it in their face and they go, man, you're right. I'm like, would you drive around your beautiful car with a flat tire? No, but you run in your business with one. Why is this individual still here? Yeah. You were telling the world that you believe that this person is representing you in the best way. No, they need to go.
They gotta go.
You know, in my business, we had a saying where we said we were going to coach them up or we're going to coach them out. But we're going to do it with respect and dignity.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's not their fault that they're not ready for what we're trying to teach them. You know, and that's probably one of the last things I'll leave you with is, you know, it's okay to cut those people loose. But if someone reaches out to you for help, return the call. Pick up the phone. Because today mental health is so important. And not all the brothers and sisters out there have the tools up here in their toolbox to get through the daily struggles and the things that they see on their phone, right? They don't know how to disconnect from those things and understand that, yeah, those things are tragedies, but you still got bills to pay, kids to feed, and a life to live. And you can't help anybody if you're not taking care of yourself. If you're not getting proper sleep, not getting proper nutrition, you know, learn the food that we need to be eating, right? Learn the patterns that are for us. not
Yes.
from a 5'7", 155-pound white man in the 1950s in a catalog. Make sure you understand how your body's chemistry works.
Mm.
These are the discussions that we're having in my household.
Mm.
Growing up, it was be proud of who you are.
Yes.
Don't let anyone ever take anything from you. Always protect yourself. Don't ever start anything. But if someone starts it, you know the finish. What I'm going to say here, you finish it. But
Yes.
now today we use this. I don't teach my girls that. I say, don't worry about those people who are thinking that way. They are going to do excellent when they learn from you as employees later.
Yep.
That shifts the way they think. I want my girls and I want every young man and young lady watching this podcast out here to know that you can be whatever you want if you form a plan. Don't fall for that hard work.
You just
Me
be
and
working
you,
hard.
we can go dig for gold out here, back behind the highway all we want. But if we don't do the proper planning and research and finding out that's actually limestone, we're wasting our time.
You
And that's
wasting.
the biggest lie we were ever told, was that if you work hard, you get what you want. And that's why people are frustrated and they have this negative connotation. If people were to look at the statistics of entrepreneurs and understand that we are what make this country run, not the Dells, not the Amazons, right? Not the Teslas, the Fords, the GMs, the entrepreneurs, right? The local taxi shops, the local pharmacies,
Yes.
the local educators. All of those aspects funnel back down to community. In my community, I have support of the mayor. He's a magnificent man. He came to our African event. He opened the event. He was excited because Round Rock is open for business. We don't neglect anyone. Our police chief, Alan Banks, glorious black man. Support him and his mission. He is building and has created one of the safest communities in the world you can live in. And if you haven't visited here, come visit. Come visit.
Do that. Man, thank you so much for just dropping knowledge today and getting us to a point where we have to start thinking, because
My
it is
pleasure.
so important. When you said you work hard enough, and all that brought to my mind was the John Henry where he beat that train and then he died.
Yeah.
And so he worked himself to death.
Yeah.
When we are not in a society where that is necessary, we're not in a society where that pays off. Not today. The book Unstoppable. I want everybody to go out there and get it. I'm going to get a copy of it.
Thank you.
Today. It's going to be, it's going to change your life. And so, whatever it is that, as you listen to this, I want you to listen to more. I want you to go to his website. I want you to figure out how you're going to get a mentor, whether it's Darwin or someone in Darwin's company or somebody like me, every coach needs a coach. Bill Belichick needs a coach, right? Everybody needs somebody to see the holes that are in their game, the things that they're not seeing, and somebody else can look around the corner and do it. I want you to come back at some point. As soon as you finish that next book, or even before, let's find something that we can teach, something that we can say, hey, let's spend some time, and either it's a workshop or something that we put together that we serve others by helping them move to that next level. To
Absolutely.
Say, that level of just working with my sweat equity isn't enough. Let's figure out how to help folks use their mind, and let's continue to do that. And so, thank you for being a part of the Journey to Freedom podcast. Thank you for sit and subscribe and clicking the bells
Hit
and
that button.
listening to these things.
Support this brother. You're doing magnificent things. You keep up the good work. Everybody, just remember, you're going to have setbacks in life. You're going to have them daily. Some of you are probably dealing with them today, and you don't know how you're going to face tomorrow. All I want you to know is that God has a plan for you, and these setbacks that you have are setups for the most magnificent comeback.
Setbacks are setups. We'll leave it with you. You guys have a wonderful, amazing day. Don't forget, you are God's greatest gift, and He loves you if you allow Him to. We'll talk to you guys on the next one.